Hello everyone! On behalf of Rainbow Loom, this is Angelynn, formerly known as TutorialsByA here on YouTube. Today I'm so excited to be showing you how to create this funky feather bracelet. This is a reversible bracelet, and here's the opposite side. I truly can't tell which side I like better. Let me know in the comments if you like this more white side or the more colorful side. I think both are like equally as cool. This bracelet can be made on 1 or 2 looms. Today I'll be showing you how to create it on 2, but if you just have 1, not to worry, as we'll still be adding an extension to this, so I'll be showing that portion in this tutorial as well. To get this really cool extra wide look on our bracelet here, we will be using something called an extra border technique. I've used it in some of our wider bracelet tutorials recently in the past, and so if you've made any of those bracelets, this should be a pretty familiar technique to you. If not, I don't think it's too hard. It might take a second to learn it, but once you do, it is pretty easy. So overall, I would rate this bracelet an advanced bracelet just because of the extra border technique, but I do think the rest of the looming process and the order of placing rubber bands is pretty simple. Today I'll be using my Rainbow Loom Wear and Share kit. This kit comes with 2 happy looms, and I've made quite a few bracelets already with this kit. I've had so much fun accessorizing with the Beadmoji beads in here, as well as the cute teeth charms in here. I think these are so adorable. But today we'll be using these 2 mighty looms, and if you just have 1 loom, don't worry. You can totally make this bracelet with 1 loom as well. You'll just need a longer extension, which I'll show you how to do later. But if you have 2 looms, we can connect them together like this, and this is the same for both the mighty looms and the Rainbow Loom 2.0s, which look like this. And as you can see, the mighty looms are just a smaller version of this Rainbow Loom 2.0. This is a newer version of the loom that we've recently come out with, and I think they're really fun. And they're really great for when you have a higher tension design like today, because the pins are a little closer together here, which reduces some of that rubber band tension. In addition to using 1 or 2 looms today, you'll also need a hook, some rubber bands, as well as a C or G clip to connect your bracelet together. The Wear and Share kit comes with G clips, so that is what I'll be using today. I have my 2 mighty looms here, and like I mentioned earlier, we can connect them sideways like this, or we can connect them long ways like this. And this is how we'll be using the 2 mighty looms today. Before we get started, make sure that your loom is oriented correctly by checking the bottom here. There should be a number 1 next to this arrow pointing up, and your pins should be in a U-shaped orientation. The very first band that we'll place is just going to be 1 color of our border, which on here is this clearish white color. I'm going to use white today, and you're just going to drop 1 of those rubber bands onto the very bottom center pin. Now, the first bands that we'll place are our V-shaped bands. So I'm going to place 1 band at a time. It'll be 1 band at a time for the whole bracelet. And we're gonna just place our rubber bands going in a V shape. So the first one is gonna go from the bottom center pin up to this top left one. And then the next one will go to the right. And we're gonna do this all the way down our loom with alternating colors, or you could use the same color if you'd like. I think using different colors gives a cooler look though. Like that, and go ahead and continue this all the way down your loom. Since this step is pretty repetitive, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward the video here so we don't have too long of a video. And then I'll meet you back here towards the end of my loom to show you how we proceed with the next step. Alright, so I'm reaching the end of my loom here, and I'm just going to place those V-shaped bands all the way down to the very last set of pins. So at this point, this is what my loom looks like. For our next step, we'll start placing our border colored bands. So I'm back down here at the very bottom of my loom again, and with my border color, we are simply going to make a single chain that goes all the way down the center row of pins on our loom. So with 1 rubber band at a time, I'm going to place this one band going up from the bottom center pin up to the next one, and then we'll continue this all the way down our loom. Try to keep your layers in order there, just so it helps with the looming process later. Go ahead and push some of your bands down to help with this as well. So since this step is relatively straightforward, I am also going to fast forward this portion of the video, and I'll meet you back here to show you what to do on our next step. So our last layer of rubber bands will be this outer portion right here that we're placing. The V-shaped bands are these colored ones that are in here, and then this center row of white that I just added is this center row of the clearish white color in the middle here. So if you want to use a different color for this outer border, I think that would look really cool. I'm just going to use white today. It's also easier to see against this loom, so that way you guys can better see what I'm doing in the next looming steps. So this last layer is going to be just a border of these this color of rubber band all the way around our loom. So I'm gonna do the left side first, and then I'll come back and do the right side. So for the left side, we're gonna go diagonally from the bottom center pin up to the left. And then we'll go up like this, and this is all one band at a time. And I'm gonna do this all the way down the left side of my loom. So I'll meet you back here once I reach the end of my loom. All right, so I'm reaching the end of my loom here. I'm going to go all the way to the very end on this left side, and then the last band that I'll place is actually going to be from this center pin up to the top left here. So we have a connection of these two rows right there. So at this point, this is what my loom looks like, and we are going to go ahead and do the same exact process, but on the right side this time. So taking one band at a time again, I'm going to go from the bottom center pin up to the right. Then we'll go vertically, and then we'll continue going vertically all the way down to the end of our loom. Alright, so I'm once again at the end of my loom. I just placed my last band going all the way up to the top right here, and now our last one will be from the center pin up to the top right. So we have another connection up here. So take note of what the top looks like here, and then here's what the rest of my loom looks like. And if your loom looks like this too, then we are ready to turn our whole thing 180 degrees. And our last step before looming is to add a cap band to this bottom center pin here. If you have a hook with this cap band applicator at the bottom, we'll simply take a single rubber band of our border color, loop it around twice on the end of this hook, and then slide it down onto the pin like that. If you don't have this hook, then you can add it on manually by looping this rubber band once, twist, and then twice onto the pin. Like that. So once you have your cap band applied, I'm gonna go through and just push my bands down really quick just to make room for my next layers. And actually this hook makes it a lot easier on the Mighty Loom since the gaps are a little bit closer together between these pins. All right, so the first bands we are going to loom are all of the white bands here. So all of our border bands, they're just basically single chains that go all the way down the entirety of our loom. So this is a pretty simple step. I'm going to go just row by row. So I'll start with the left side all the way down, and then we'll do the right side all the way down, and then the center all the way down. So starting at the bottom here, I'm going to go inside my cap band, which is the top two layers, grab the next layer, which is this band going to the left. You might want to hold on to that cap band a little bit just so it doesn't come off that pin. And then I'm going to loom it down onto this bottom left pin. Now I'm going to take this single chain all the way down to the end. So reaching into this pin here, I'm going to go inside the top two layers, grab the third layer, pull it off the pin, and loom it up to the next one. Going inside the top two layers here, I'll grab this white band that's at the bottom here, pull it off the pin, loom it upwards. So make sure you're just only grabbing this one white band, because there are two bands down there. One of them is a color right here, and you want to make sure you don't grab that. So just grab this white one only and loom upwards. So go ahead and complete this process all the way down to the end of your loom. And then I'll show you how to proceed once we've reached the end. All right, so I'm reaching the end of my loom here. And I'm gonna go all the way to the end like this, and then our last band will be from this top left pin up to the top middle pin, like that. So at this point, your loom should look something like this. And if so, then we're gonna go ahead and do the same exact thing to the right side. If you're using two looms, it's normal to have a little bit of bowing just because of the tension of the rubber bands. Don't worry, your looms are made to withstand this. But don't worry, as your looms are made to withstand this. So for the right side, I'm gonna go inside these top two layers again. These are of the cap band, and then grab the next one, which is this one that's gonna go to the bottom right. There we go. And now we're gonna loom all the way up this right side. All right, so I'm reaching the end here. We're gonna do the same thing as we did on the left side. I'm looming all the way up to the top of the right side, and then the last band that we do will be this one here, up to the middle. So at this point, this is what my loom looks like. And our last step is to do the center row. So again, I'm gonna go inside of this cap band, grab this white rubber band, move it upwards, and then we'll go all the way down to the end of our loom again. All right, so I'm reaching the end of my loom here. We are gonna go all the way to the very end, just like that. So at this point, this is what my loom looks like. And if yours looks like this too, then we are ready to move on to looming something differently. For this next step, we'll still be working with these white border bands, but we are going to do something called an extra border technique. I've used it in a couple of our rainbow loom videos, and so if you've made some of our previous bracelets that are extra wide like this on one loom, then you may be familiar with this concept. Basically, we are going to be flipping a layer of these white bands outwards, all the way down our loom on the left and the right sides. To start, I am going to start by showing you how to do it on this pin right here, just because it's easiest to visualize and learn over here, and then we'll come back and do the ones at the bottom here. So we're going to be flipping from the inside here outwards. So on the right side, we're going to go on the inside here. We're gonna grab this layer right here just to give you a heads up on the band that we'll be grabbing. But as a closer look from the side here, you can see that there's two layers on the inside of this pin, on the left side of this pin. There's two layers right here. I'm gonna grab the top one and flip it over. And you can let go and it looks like this. And we're gonna do this on all of our pins. Make sure you're not grabbing the bottom one, because it's gonna look a little bit twisty when you grab it. The top one is the correct one, and flip that over. So go ahead and do this on all of your pins. It really doesn't matter what order that you do this in, as long as you're getting all of the pins. So top layer here, flip it over. So I'm gonna go to almost the very end of my loom. I'll meet you back here because we don't wanna do the very last set of pins. So inside here, outwards, inside here, outwards, and just make sure you're only grabbing this one top layer and flipping outwards. Okay, so I'm reaching the end of my loom here. We're gonna go up to this very top one, and this will be the last one here that we flip over. It's gonna look a little bit different because of how the bands are pulling on this one up here, but still the top layer of this inside portion of this pin, flip it over. So you're not gonna do anything up here. This one right here is the last one that we do. And then I'm gonna go back down here to the bottom and show you how to do these bottom ones here. So I have two down here. This one is a little bit similar to how the other ones looked. You just gotta grab this portion right here, like that, and flip it over. Now for this one, I'm gonna grab the top portion from right here. So this is the portion I'm grabbing, and we will pull this over the pin, like that. So the right side is all done. Go ahead and make sure that you flipped everything over. You can check by seeing that there's only one layer of rubber band on the left side of each of these pins over here. So make sure that everything is flipped over. And now we'll go back and do the left side. So starting at this bottom left pin right here, I'm gonna grab this top layer. It's right here, this little thing, and I'll flip it over the pin like that. Now for the next one, I'm gonna grab this top layer, and remember we're working on this side now. We were working on this side of the pins last time, this left side of the pins. Now we'll work on the right side of these pins because we're flipping all these bands outwards. So grabbing this side right here, I'm gonna flip outwards. Remember, it's just that top layer from the inside out to the right. So I'm gonna go and do this all the way down to the end of this row. And remember, we don't do the very, very last rubber band. All right, so I'm reaching the end of the row here. So here's the end of the row right here. Flip over, and that's the last one we'll do. We will not be doing the very, very last band that goes over here. So everything from this pin and down has been flipped from the inside out. Go ahead and double check on your loom and make sure that you only have one layer of rubber bands on the inside portions of the left and right sides of the loom. All right, so if your loom looks like this, we're finally ready to stop working with the white bands, and we'll be moving on to our colored V-shaped bands. So again, just gonna push everything down really quickly, and we'll start again here at the bottom of our loom. So we're gonna first work with the center row here. I'm gonna go inside of the cap band and grab the next layer here, which is this V-shaped band that's pink, and it's coming from the left side. I'm gonna grab this, and instead of looming it downwards, we are actually gonna move it up all the way to here. So just take note of what pin this is. We moved it from here up to here. We have an exaggerated diagonal here. We're not looming it up to this pin, but it's up to this pin instead. So there's two empty that we didn't put anything on, and we're looming this up. So we're gonna do the same thing to the right side, go in here, and we're not looming it to this pin, but the one above it, like that. So check to make sure that you've loomed this onto the correct pin, and then we'll move on to the next one. So we'll go up to this next pin, and I'll grab the left side V-shaped band first, and this is gonna get loomed to the pin above. So once you have the first ones placed, it's a little bit easier to imagine the rest because you just move it on to the next pin above and above. So this one will go onto the next pin above here, like that. And then this one will go onto the next pin above on the right side. So go ahead and complete this process all the way down your loom. As you can see, I'm looming the center bands up to the next pin above the previous set of bands. So none of them are on the same pins. And I'll go ahead and continue this all the way down my loom, and then I'll meet you back again to show you how I'm finishing the end. Alright, so I'm reaching the end of my loom here. I'm going to continue this process all the way down. So here's the last set that will be just like the previous that we did. And now moving on to the second to last pin from the end, I'm going to grab this left side right here, and we're just going to move this onto the same pin that the yellow was on. And then same thing on the right side, like that. And then we're gonna leave the rest of this alone. So at this point, this is what my loom looks like. And again, it's normal to have a little bit of bowing just because of the tension of the bands. And now we'll finally move on to our last step of the looming process for this design. We are going to loom the left side all the way up and then the right side all the way up. And the bands we'll be working with are the V-shaped bands. So I'll start with the left side first and then come back and do the right. Going inside this pin here, we have 3 layers of white. I'm gonna go inside those 3 layers, grab the very bottom one here, which is this pink V-shaped band. I'm gonna pull this off of the pin and then loom this upwards to the next pin above. So we're just gonna loom this like it's like a single chain basically. So going inside of this pin, pushing all these layers back and just grabbing the very bottom one, moving it off of the pin and up to the next one above. Same thing in here, grab the yellow, loom it up. This V-shaped band, loom it up. This V-shaped band, and up. So continue this all the way down to the end of your loom again, and then I will be back to show you how I'm finishing the end of this left side. Alright, so I'm reaching the end here. I'm gonna go up to this last pin. Ooh, there we go. And then our very last band will be this purple band at the bottom here. It's our V-shaped band color. And I'll pull it off and onto this top pin. There's a lot of tension on here, so don't worry about pulling it too hard. You can kind of relieve some of the tension by running your hook around, but that is the last band that we'll do on this left side. So now this is what my loom looks like, and we're gonna go ahead and do the right side now, and it'll be the exact same thing. So going into this bottom right pin, I'll reach in through all these layers and just grab that very bottom one, loom it up like that, in through all these layers, grab the bottom layer and loom it up. And it's basically the same exact thing as the left side. So I'm gonna work on this and then I'll meet you back here to show you how I'm finishing off this right side. All right, so I'm reaching the end here. I'm gonna loom this upwards, and then the last band that we do will be this V-shaped colored band up to the left. Sorry if you hear a little noise from my upstairs neighbors. And remember, this has a lot of tension on it, so you can run your hook around if you'd like to relieve some of that. Just don't pull too hard on that band right there. So at this point, we are finally done with the looming process, and this is what my loom looks like. And at this point, we're gonna go to the very top of our looms here. And if you recall, we have this one loose band that we placed at the very beginning of placing our bands, and this is gonna help us hold all these bands here on this pin to help us finish off our bracelet. So to use this band right here, I'm gonna insert my hook in through all of these layers. You really wanna check and make sure that you've got all those layers on your hook here. So make sure you've grabbed everything. Then I'm gonna reach in here and I'm gonna grab this white band that I'm holding in my left hand here. So grabbing this band, I'll pull it up like this and then off of the pin. And there's a lot of tension in here from all these layers, so don't worry about pulling too hard. You just want to get both of those layers onto your hook. I'm going to slide it up just for a little extra security to make sure nothing comes off. And now we are ready to pull this entire thing off of our loom. There is quite a bit of tension here, as you can tell by the bowing a little bit, so you want to be super careful and gentle when taking your bracelet off your loom, so that way you don't ruin any of your hard work that you just put into making this bracelet. How cool is that? I am so excited with how this color combo came out, and I also love just making an extra wide bracelet. I think it's so amazing how this extra border technique can make these really cool wide bracelets. So if you use 3 looms, you probably have enough to go around your wrist. However, if you used 1 or 2 looms, we definitely need an extension here. So to do this, I'm going to take one of my looms. We don't need both anymore, so I'll just grab one, and we'll make a single chain extension. I'm going to use the same color of bands that I used for my border here, which is white. And we're going to start at the bottom of our loom. Make sure that you have this arrow here pointing up and it says the number 1 next to it, and your pins should be in a U-shaped orientation. So if you used 1 loom to create your bracelet, here's just a visual of what this bracelet looks like on me. I have a pretty small adult wrist, and for my extension, I used about 14 rubber bands for this extension here on this bracelet. So for this bracelet, I'm going to use, let's try 7. So I'm going to do a single chain of 7. We'll just take 1 rubber band at a time and make a zigzag on this loom. Make sure you go from bottom to top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So you can make this as long or as short as you would like. It just depends on your wrist size. And once you have all those rubber bands laid out, we can rotate the loom 180 degrees. So that way our pins are now in an upside down U shape. And we'll transfer this set of rubber bands right here onto the very bottom of whatever our zigzag is. So if your zigzag ends down here, add this bracelet onto whatever your last pin is. Mine's right here, so I'm gonna take these 2 layers right here on my hook. I'll insert my finger into here and then help my hook transfer this onto that pin. So now we'll loom this like a normal single chain. If you need any extra help, you can check out the link in the description box below, and it is a full tutorial on how to make a single chain bracelet. However, you have definitely been through a lot worse making this bracelet today, so this single chain should be easy peasy. So I'm gonna loom this like normal, and then after this, I'm gonna grab a C-clip to help close this all up. And the wear and shear actually comes with G-clips, so that as well I'll grab actually. So here's my G-clip. I'm gonna go up to this top pin, and I'm gonna grab these 2 layers that are on this very top pin here. Make sure you grab them both before you remove anything from the loom. Pull this off. So now with my G-clip, I'm gonna grab this little cap band that I have on the opposite end of my bracelet and just slip this in. If you have a hard time locating this, you can use the G-clip to grab any rubber bands over here. You just want to connect the 2 ends of your bracelet together. So here we go. We have our finished bracelet. Thanks so much for watching this tutorial on how to create the funky feather bracelet. Here is the opposite side of this. I can't decide which side I like better. I think both sides of this funky feather bracelet look equally as cool. Let me know which side that you like better in the comments below. This side with a little more color, or this side with more white. And if you make a funky feather bracelet of your own, I and the Rainbow Loom team would love to see your creations. Be sure to tag us on Instagram and TikTok at this username and add the hashtag Rainbow Loom to your caption. In the description box below, you can find a link to shop the wear and share kit that I used today, as well as links to our Amazon and other resources to shop our products. Thanks again for watching this video, and I really look forward to seeing you in our next one. Bye!